Charlotte didn't know it yet, but the license plate the mechanic wrote down was about to expose the person secretly destroying Daniel's empire. And when she finally discovered who owned the car, the truth was far more dangerous than she imagined. The rain returned that night. It fell softly over the city, coating the streets in reflections of neon lights and passing headlights. Charlotte stood outside the small Brooklyn garage, staring at the piece of paper in her hand. The license plate number the mechanic had written down. A simple set of letters and numbers. But it might be the first real clue in a mystery that had already begun destroying Daniel's empire. Inside the garage, the mechanic closed the hood of the last car for the night. The metal clanged shut. "Still thinking about it?" he asked. Charlotte nodded. "If someone was watching us, they wanted something." The mechanic wiped his hands with an old rag. "Or they wanted to make sure you didn't find something." Charlotte looked at him. "That's even worse." The mechanic pulled an old laptop from the office desk. The screen flickered as it powered on. Charlotte sat beside him while he typed the license plate number into a private vehicle registry site. The loading icon spun for several seconds. Then the result appeared. Both of them stared at the screen. Owner, Stonebridge Holdings. Charlotte frowned. "That's not a person." The mechanic leaned back. "It's a shell company." Charlotte looked confused. "A what?" "A company that exists on paper, but hides the real owner." Charlotte's stomach tightened. "So, whoever is behind this doesn't want to be found?" The mechanic nodded slowly. "That usually means they're powerful." Across the city, tension filled the top floor of Daniel Mercer's headquarters. The boardroom lights were bright, almost painfully bright. Daniel sat at the head of the table while the board members studied the latest financial report. The numbers were worse than yesterday. The company's stock had dropped another 8%, and someone had quietly purchased even more shares. One board member finally spoke. "We need to consider leadership changes until this investigation is resolved." Daniel stared at him. "You mean replace me?" The man didn't answer. Another director spoke instead. "This is about protecting the company." Daniel leaned forward slowly. "I built this company." "And right now," another member replied coldly, "your reputation is destroying it." The room fell silent. Daniel understood what was happening. Someone outside was attacking his empire, but someone inside the room was helping them. Back in the garage office, Charlotte studied the information on the laptop. Stonebridge Holdings had almost no public records, no employees, no headquarters, nothing. Just a registration address. Charlotte pointed at the screen. "What's that location?" The mechanic read it. "A financial office downtown." Charlotte stood immediately. "Then we should go there." Quinn raised an eyebrow. "Right now?" Charlotte nodded. "If someone is destroying Daniel's company, we're running out of time." High above the city, in a quiet office tower, the man watching the monitors noticed something. The camera feed showed Charlotte leaving the garage. Another screen showed Daniel's headquarters. A second man entered the room. "They found the shell company." The man at the monitors smiled slightly. "That was faster than expected." "Should we intervene?" The man shook his head. "No." "Why not?" "Because the closer they get..." He zoomed the camera closer to Charlotte's face. "The more dangerous this becomes for them." The financial district was almost empty by the time Charlotte and the mechanic arrived. Most offices were closed, lights off. Security guards finishing late shifts. They stood in front of a tall glass building. Charlotte checked the address again. "This is it." The mechanic looked at the dark lobby. "And we're just gonna walk in?" Charlotte smiled faintly. Sometimes confidence is the best disguise. They stepped inside. The lobby guard barely looked up. Charlotte walked directly to the elevator panel. Stonebridge Holdings, floor 27. The elevator doors closed. The ride up felt longer than expected. Neither of them spoke. The elevator opened onto a quiet hallway. Most of the lights were off. At the end of the corridor, a small metal sign read, Stonebridge Holdings. Charlotte pushed the door open. Inside was nothing. No desks, no computers, just an empty office space. The mechanic stepped inside slowly. Told you it was a shell company. Charlotte looked around. This doesn't make sense. Then she noticed something on the floor. A single envelope. She picked it up. No address, no name. Just a symbol stamped on the front. A small black circle with a thin silver line through it. The mechanic frowned. You expecting mail? Charlotte opened the envelope. Inside was a printed photograph. Charlotte's face turned pale. It was a picture of Daniel. Standing outside his office building earlier that day, someone had been watching him. The mechanic looked closer. There's something written on the back. Charlotte turned the photo over. 3 words. You're too late. Back at the headquarters, Daniel's assistant rushed into his office. Daniel, you need to see this. She handed him a tablet. Daniel's eyes scanned the financial report. Another major block of company shares had just been purchased. His heart sank. The total ownership percentage appeared at the bottom of the screen. 49%. Whoever was behind the attack now controlled almost half the company. Another purchase, and Daniel would lose everything. Charlotte and the mechanic left the empty office building in silence. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet. Charlotte's phone vibrated. Another unknown message. She opened it slowly. The message contained only one sentence. You should have stopped digging. Charlotte's chest tightened. Then another message arrived. This one included a photo. Charlotte's breath caught in her throat. The picture showed her and the mechanic inside the Stonebridge office. Minutes ago, someone had been watching them the entire time. Back at the garage, the mechanic locked the doors behind them. Charlotte sat down heavily. This isn't just about Daniel's company anymore, the mechanic nodded. They're watching everyone involved. Charlotte looked at the photograph again. Then she noticed something she hadn't seen before. A small reflection in the glass behind Daniel. A building sign. Charlotte leaned closer. That building? The mechanic looked over her shoulder. What about it? Charlotte whispered the words slowly. That's the same building where Stonebridge is registered. Silence filled the garage. The mechanic leaned back. So, whoever owns Stonebridge, Charlotte finished the thought, is closer to Daniel than we think? Like, comment, and subscribe for next episode.